There we go. There we go. Hi guys. Yeah. Eve, sorry about that. I know that made it harder to export these videos. Okay, I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna get better at this Twitch streaming thing. I haven't done this very much or for very long. It's only been like a year and a half of experience that I have here. Clearly, I don't know what I'm doing still. Yeah. I'll work on that. I'll work on that. I'm gonna get that better. Let's answer questions. Let's do some questioning. That's what this segment is all about. Oh god, my windows are terrible. Great question to start us out. From Cage Tiger. How do you feel about how this game presents hacking versus the several other hacking games that we've played? For reference, the several other hacking games that we've played include at least Hack and Slash and Quadrilateral Cowboy. I don't know if we've played any other hacking games on play-by-play at least. I know that the podcast crew has maybe... Actually, I'm not sure. Podcast crew maybe has played some as well. Alright, so looking at those games and this game, the biggest difference, the most obvious difference, is that this game is not simulating... Is that the word that I want to use? It's not attempting to mimic any kind of computer system procedural logic. It's not doing any of that. This is not a game with any educational value around learning how computers work, learning how to program, learning how to hack, by any definition of that word. This is a game that is about programming, about computers, about hacking, only in a narrative, experiential sense. And to sort of explore that a little bit more, I want to bring up one of my favorite game mechanics. I can't remember the game that I first saw this in, and I'm not sure that I can remember the name of any game that uses this, but I know that there are several. In chat, maybe you can come up with some examples for me. But there is a really sort of magical mechanic where, as a character, you are hacking. You are a coder. You are like slinging code, and as a player, you just need to type any key on the keyboard, and it will type the next key or the next character, the next letter, in the code that you're writing. And so the effect of this is that as a player, you sit here and you just like jam on the keyboard the way that you see people in really bad movies about hackers just like jam on their keyboards, and you're writing code, or you're writing some simulation of code that is like doing stuff. Obviously there's no like strategy to that game. You don't need to like know what's going on or input anything in particular. You just like smash keys, but you feel like a 90s hacker movie hacker, right? You get that feel of it because you just like bam 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 bam, and code comes out. It's really cool. This game is more like that. This game is not about like actually programming. There's nothing, there's no procedural logic in this game really at all. There is deductive logic. It's heavy on that. It uses the same kind of puzzle approached several different ways in several different places, which I think is actually like a super cool idea and one of the things that I love about the game. But none of it is procedural. None of it is about understanding the order that things will happen in, lining them up and making them go. It's all about figuring out, if I make this move, what is going to happen next, and if I eliminate sort of part of this play space from a couple of different angles, what is left behind? What is the possibility that remains? Superhot did do that. Superhot did some of that with the chat windows. I just like banged on the keyboard and it wrote out chat for me, which is slightly different. It has a very similar effect. It's not the like 90s hacker thing. I mean, it is, but it's there is something magical about it writing out this like arcane, something like really arcane, something that as a person, and especially when in the narrative I know what my character wants to accomplish, my character sits down and says, I'm going to write a program that's going to hack, the World Bank and steal $1 billion. And then I bang on the keyboard and it does it. And I can see that it's doing it, even though I would not be able to do it myself. So anyway, that's that thing. Oh yeah, podcast did Else Heartbreak, which I desperately want to play. That's on my list. Okay, back to questions. Anyway, that's my point, is that this game is about hacking thematically. On the one hand, it is not trying to do the hard things that those other games are trying to do. On the plus side of that, when it doesn't fail to perfectly do those things, it is not a detriment to the game. So hack and slash, didn't 100% work. And Quadrilateral Cowboy, I love, but I still feel like that game is for people like me who already know how to play it. And this is a game that is accessible to everyone. Now it's not trying to do the hard thing that those other games are trying to do. It's not trying to make you a better coder by playing it. But that's fine. It's not trying to do that. It's trying to be a game about how fucking cool computers are, and about how you can be like a glam witch by being good at computers and go around and show off how good at computers you are. And that's a fucking cool narrative. Like, I love that. That's a narrative that is worth putting out into the world. And you can leave the actual like learning about computers to something else. But there is something powerful about a story that says, this is a cool thing to do, and it's an option for you. It's something that you can go out and do. Anyway, that's my take. How do you feel about how pink the game is? I love it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's there are a couple of places where the like pixely aesthetic, I think, is less effective. So the shopping basket icon really looks like a lock, and that's, I think, a real problem in a game that's about security, that like has locks in it. And some of these characters are a little weird because I can't quite tell what they're supposed to look like. But in general, they're super fucking cute. I love I am such a fucking sucker for the depiction of a computer, the mediated experience. The play window is the frame of a computer, and I am playing on the computer inside of the virtual computer. Like that, I love all of that shit. I love that it's got stickers on the edges of it. Yeah, no, it's awesome. The problem with pink is when you like make things pink that shouldn't be pink. You make them pink to signal this is appropriate for girls, and you just like slather that color on there, and that is not what's happened here. This has been like lovingly visually designed in a way that incorporates a lot of pink. It's great. It's super great. How do you feel about how pink the chat was? Okay, so it makes it really hard to distinguish between people when you are all the same color. It's actually a really interesting exercise in like the layout of textual information. Because when all of you turned your names pink and you turned your text pink, I couldn't read anything. Which is funny. I mean, it's funny how much of an effect it has. I love that you guys do that kind of nonsense. I mean, it's wonderful. You guys are just wonderful. So keep it up. Do you think there's enough of a narrative to justify playing this again next week, or is it more of a Royals game? I feel like the bang for the buck is low. I like if I could somehow like skip through more of the puzzles and just go through the rest of the story, I would be interested in doing that on stream. As it is, I think I'm just going to play through the rest of this game because it was fun and it was absorbing. But I feel like there would be a lot of dead time. There was a lot of dead time tonight. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. So I think we'll probably pick something else for next week. I super want to play Pony Island. I have no idea how long it is, but it would probably be good for a stream, and I think that would be another really interesting one. And then Shenzhen IO just came out. I really am nervous about playing that on stream, but it could be neat. I don't know. I do really super want to play it. Anyway, we'll find something else. And I'll finish Beglitched and let you guys know if the ending's any good. I'll just write something about it on Twitter, or I won't if it's, completely uninteresting. But hopefully it'll be interesting. I think it's been really well written and quite interesting so far. On a scale of 1 to Barack Obama, how tired are you? Go to bed. I'm going to take that less as a question and more as advice. I will say no, that's not even true. I tried to sleep last night and I slept like a log, but I had to get up early for a meeting this morning, so I didn't actually sleep that long. All right, I'm going to go home soon. Can I suggest that you choose one item from your bookshelf per week for show and tell? That's fucking awesome. I like that. Okay, do you guys want to... Oh, God, I wish that chat was like really real time. All right, I'm going to look. I'm going to pick something out. Something good. one's good. Okay, so this is gonna be pretty common. A lot of what I have up on my shelf is games. I have a few books. They're mostly textbooks. That's probably not true. It's probably a combination of textbooks and like role-playing game rule books. And I have a couple of like toys and things. It's mostly games. So there's going to be a lot of just like picking some random games. But here's a fun one to start us off. I have this on my shelf. This is Don't Break the Ice. I picked this up at Target, I'm pretty sure, along with a couple of other Cootie Games titles. A year or two ago, for one of the events that I put on here at USC that's called Game Tasting. The idea behind game tasting is a lot of the undergraduate students who come in to USC in the games program don't have a like really good broad experience with tabletop games. And I try to impress upon them, and I used to do this in class. I don't teach that class anymore, and now I just bully the people who do teach the class into doing this for me. I try to make those kids understand how important a foundational knowledge of game mechanics from board games and non-digital games is, and how useful that is when you are building digital games, that there is transfer between the two domains. And there are a lot of reasons to study non-digital games in addition to and even before you really get into in-depth study of digital games. So, Game Tasting is a weekly event, approximately weekly, and the way that it works, it's basically a game night, except that we also have game nights. I don't run them, but the students often run them for themselves. They'll do weekly game nights where they get together and just play board games, which is great. It's fantastic. The way that works is they all end up playing Cards Against Humanity for 4 hours every week, which is fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Well, there is something wrong with that, but it doesn't matter. It's fine. But it's not the board game education that I'm talking about. That's not that is not analyzing a broad range of games and understanding how they use different mechanics differently. So, game tasting once a week. It's only 2 hours. You do not always play a complete game, but we try to make sure that you play at least the beginning of at least 2 games. And we bring games every week, so every week the games are different. And so every week that you come, you are guaranteed to play a couple of games that you haven't played at any of the game tastings before. And we do them in themes. So we'll have a night that is auction and bidding games. We'll have a night that is deductive reasoning games. We'll have a night that is hidden identity games, because there's quite a few of them now. It's a genre. I always love doing the Ameritrash night, is one of my favorites. We didn't get to do it this semester. We ran out of time. We did do a casino night this last week, which was pretty great. We did a lot of, Vegas-style gambling games and talked about the role that chance plays and how you can do effective experience design around a game that involves no interesting decisions. We also, every semester, because it ties in strongly with one of the classes that the undergraduates take, do a game night on affordances. Affordances is one of those $10 words that you learn in graduate school. I've talked about it before, but as a refresher, affordances describe the characteristics. Affordances describe the interactions that an object lends itself to because of its characteristics. So affordances are adjectives that describe an object based on what interactions are possible with that object. So the classic example is that a coffee cup has the affordances of being lifted because it's got a handle, and its handle is hand-shaped. It makes itself really easy to lift or carry or pick up off of the table. It has the affordance of being filled because it has sort of like a concave bit that you can pour water into. That's a thing that you can do with a coffee cup because of its physical properties. So those are affordances. Those two things are affordances of a coffee cup. We do a whole night that's themed around games that have physical affordances, as all games do, and that use those physical affordances in interesting ways. And so some of these include things like Jenga, and by extension like Dread. There's a student game called Drunken Master that was created a couple of years ago that uses dice that you stack in little towers, and then you have to move the towers around without knocking them over. So that's a physical affordances game. We usually play like Hanabi, which uses the physical affordance that cards have two sides, and they can be turned around, so you can hold a hand of cards differently than you normally do when you play a card game. There's a couple other games that we play. We play Kigi, which is one of Daniel Solis's games. That's about laying tiles, but not doing it doing it kind of haphazardly, because the cards have the affordance of being scattered and stacked. And we play Don't Break the Ice. So Don't Break the Ice, you may recognize from children's cartoon show commercials from the 80s, but you can see it here on the back. You basically have this little square that has a bunch of little white cubes that are jammed into it, and then and there's a figure standing on one of them, and then you take turns using those little green mallets to knock individual ice cubes out of the support. And you can knock a couple of ice cubes out, and all of the rest of the ice cubes are jammed together so hard that nothing will happen. But eventually, like Jenga, you will knock out too many of the ice cubes, and the whole thing will collapse, and the ice will fall, and the little skating figure will drown or die of hypothermia. I'm not sure which happens first. It might depend on the temperature of the water. And so you're trying not to be the character, or not to be the player who does that, just like Jenga. Yeah. Okay, so that's my long story about why I have a copy of Don't Break the Ice on the shelf behind me, and I'll pick something out for next time to also talk about. Awesome, guys. This was great. This was good. Went a little bit late, but that's okay. I should be able to do it again next week. Fingers crossed. Oh, no. Next week is Thanksgiving. I will not be doing this next week. All of my American friends, have a nice Thanksgiving. All of my Canadian friends, sit at home and remember the Thanksgiving that you had not so long ago. All of my friends who do not celebrate Thanksgiving, I don't know, maybe play video games. Like, have some fun. Do something neat. I expect to be back 2 weeks from tonight, and hopefully that's the case. And thank you all for bearing with my erratic schedule the last few weeks. Love that I get to do this as often as I do. So thank you all for giving me that opportunity. I will see you next time. Have a great night. Bye.